Hello, Casey here, coming to you from my little garage gym and getting over the fear from the 2 hurricanes. It literally manifested as a sinus thing for me. Anyway, big emotional day today, and it's a big long title about early adulthood, and I'm actually like nervous talking about it because all these things are going through my head. Like, probably should have had notes, should have, fuck that. Fuck that shit. And I've got some privates in town. I'm about to get ready and go over there. We're doing big healing work with them, business owners, and clearing out tons and tons of shit so that they get to taste the fucking rainbow. Anyway, they're already on the rainbow frequency, but that's here nor there. So I'm 38 years old. I'll be 39 next year. Total hysterectomy. And by the way, those of you that are new, holy shit, I'm so rude. Welcome, Casey Ship, creator of Hot Mom's Lifestyle. This is a great place to find out if it feels vibey or not. I'm not for a lot of people. I'm really not. A lot of people think I'm way too harsh and direct, but a lot of people I don't even have to speak that way to. So I work with a lot of A players, a lot of very successful high-level career women, big dreamers, entrepreneurs, business owners, high-level corporate, just big dreamers. Women who, rebel-spirited, women who never really went along with mainstream deep down. So that's who I fuck with. And I help them create their best bodies and get healthy, and things that doctors and say that there's no cures for. Just really, truly miraculous shifts in their health. Fitness model. I've been doing this since 2008. Been in the magazines and all that fun stuff. And which just leads me to this that nobody talks about. So I'm in here today, and this was a breakthrough for me to be here. I've been fucking around for, it's been some time. So let me give you a little backstory to give you context, because what I say is happening to me. I think you can apply to your life and bring in some compassion. And with that, you're right on the verge of you're at your breaking point. And the breaking point is here, and it's there, and you're in it. And the reason it's so hard for you right now is because of the level of resistance that you're in. You haven't surrendered yet, and you're just not. That's what's going on. So if you're just stuck in progression, sure, there's hormones and there's all these things, but you can get your hormones done, you can get on the workouts and these diets, but until you can go to Reiki healers, but until you learn how to surrender and you're ready to surrender, that's what it really is. It's about ready, because it's going to happen for me. It's going to happen. But what it was, I went pro fitness model in 2012, and that was back when like it was a new thing. Like not everybody was going pro. It was WBFF, and I think where I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, I was like one of the first ones. It was really cool. And 2010, I got into competing. Got my ass kicked. It was horrible, not like physically, but just lost a lot of shows, and just it was hard. And I got really sick and all that, with just other stuff that is part of my story that you don't need to know about right now. Turned pro, and that was great. And then that turned into more. I didn't know what I didn't know. I was like, I was in, how was I? 25, 26, 27? I think it's when all this was going down. And I didn't have kids. Matter of fact, I was married 10 years before I had kids. And to me, kids were a sign of not successful people. For me, it was like, if you've got a job to do, and if you want to create an impact and be very wealthy and do big things, you don't have children. While that's true, if you play cash flow, the game cash flow, Robert Kiyosaki, I mean, kids cost money, they take time. It's a big life change. It's traumatic. It's a beautiful experience. And I am so thrilled that I was brave enough to say yes to having children. But for many years, I said no. I was very wounded. I had a lot of childhood shit, and I had beliefs that were just like no. And what it really was too was I was craving my own inner child. And the kids and our children have a way, and truly I feel like that's why they're here, and for other purposes. But one reason they're here is to help us get in touch with our inner child to heal. And that's what's really cool. But here or there, I went through some things and said yes to having kids, but before I did that, I got really sick. I had like shingles, and I was pushing myself too much. It's how I created Hot Moms, actually. I was doing way too many workouts. I was doing really hard workouts. My nervous system was tapped. I was sick all the time. I was on my ass. Like every period I had, I would get sick. Every month I had a period, I would get sick. Always had something going on. Like this stuff right here, last year, I don't even think I got any of this stuff. Yeah, and I even moved across country and didn't even get this stuff. That hurricane, those 2 hurricanes, like I was in direct path in Sarasota. I thought a 5 was coming for us. I was so fucking scared, and it just manifested. Like, it was a lot. But anyway, so the kids came through, and before that, I was really sick. I was doing fasted cardio. I was eating like way under like 1,500 calories. You know, I was still in the diet competition mode of being on a competition diet, because a lot of those girls, when they get really lean, they do take their calories down. That's how you get that lean, is you take your calories down and you have a way of holding muscle mass. It is a science, right? And we know how to do that science. And I did all that. And it damaged my body. I had cystic acne. I had hypothyroid. All the shit. And it was horrible. But I pushed myself. I was big on force and push. I didn't know about true power. I was just big on force. I could force anything and make it happen. I was a control freak. I had to control everything because that meant I knew the outcome was going to happen. I didn't know about trust. I didn't know about feminine energetics. I'm in my 20s. Hello? Would any of you like to go back and tell your 20-something-year-old self something? Yeah, exactly. But I had kids, and that's what created Hot Moms. Is I realized after kids, like, I was so worried. I was so afraid. Can I get my body back? Can I do this? Like, I truly had massive doubts about my body. And then I had guilt, because it was like, here I am worried about me getting my body back, and I should be happy and being a mom and being all that stuff. It's what everybody else tells you should be doing and you should be feeling after you have a kid, and breastfeeding and all that shit. And so I'm judging myself. I'm guilty because I feel guilty, all this shit. But I set up a photo shoot 5 months post C-section, my first child. I was like, I'm going to LA, I'm going big. I took out a loan, 30% interest, and I'm like, I'm paying this photographer, I'm going to get in the magazine. And I did all that stuff. I knew I was like, I'm going to do this for me, just to know that I can do it. And I had diastasis recti. Like, I wasn't fully recovered at all. My baby, he was still a baby, and I left him like 5 months. Like, it was crazy. First time mom, like, y'all. But I wouldn't change it. It helped me more than, I can't tell you how much it helped me. And it was so hard. I remember after having a baby, going in my closet, putting on a skirt, literally for a split second, thinking, I can't wear this anymore. I'm a mom. And I was like, fuck that. I mean, I went through all these things, like, oh, I should breastfeed, because like I went through all the same fucking things. The hormones will get that ass, man. And it's why you get certain women that are like, hey, my baby's 18 and I'm still fat. And I'm like, yeah, it's because you never got out of that postpartum shit. And I had kids. I went from being a superstar fitness model, with my body being a lot of people are proud of their titles. Like, my body was my thing. But really, it was more internal. It was how being strong made me feel. Lifting, how that made me feel. Truly, I don't like to exercise. You won't. I'll slip my wrist. I'll be one of the most depressed bitches you will find if I have to exercise. I like to strength train. That's just me. I've had my genetics tested, and it even confirms that I really need to watch out, because I don't like to exercise. I hate it. But I will strength train, and I got into powerlifting and strength training, and that was taken from me, I thought. After kids, I lost atrophy, a lot of muscle went away, and you just get in the vibe of being a mother. And I was running a business. I'm trying to grow my business. I was doing 6 figures at the time. I'm trying to go to 7 figures. These big old goals over here. At the same time, my marriage was really struggling. He was going through stuff. It was a lot. Then I got a total hysterectomy. I had a miscarriage afterwards. I had a baby after that. I wanted it back to back, because childbirth to me and having babies was one of the most horrifying things. I hated being pregnant. I loved all of it. Listen, my children, if you're watching this, like, I loved being a mom. I love all that. It's just being pregnant, it fucking sucks. Like, a woman like us, we like to do things, and our energy, like, it's an extra thing that you have to surrender to. And I probably should have drank a lot of ayahuasca before children, and probably be in a way better situation, honestly. But I said no to ayahuasca. It actually showed up in 2010, and I was like, yeah, I just saw it. I probably should have done it then, but shit, fuck it. Anyway, I digress. Had the babes, and I did enjoy lots of it, but it was very traumatic for me. Listen, just love the life change. I don't care if you have a perfect pregnancy. You have your child in the woods, no medicine, and your vagina and your pussy looks perfect, and like, it's beautiful. It is traumatic. It is a traumatic experience. Moving, new jobs, going to medical school, it's all traumatic. Being a human is traumatic. Being sick is traumatic, and we don't understand this. And so early adulthood, a lot of us left home, college, rapes, abortions. I could go on, right? Early adulthood, I could go on. And we had babies. We moved. Financial hardships. I could go on. Friendships lost. I could go on. You know what I'm saying? And time dwindled. I wanted to move to to Florida. It was a dream of mine. I said no to. I was too scared to go. In 2009 or 2013, we had a chance to move to South Florida. I was just scared. I didn't know what I know now. I didn't know about manifestation. I didn't know about money frequencies. I had money blocks. I was very poverty, scarcity mindset shit. And then I finally said yes. 2019, I was like, we're fucking going. I don't fucking know how. I knew more about energetics at this point. And we went. And then COVID happened. And it was like, that happened. And then I'm over here hitting 7 figures in my business, trying to do the kid thing, and my husband stopped working, which was horrible. It was just like, because I wanted him home with us, and he hated what he was doing, and we needed it to, it was just all a thing, life. And so then we moved in 2022, still in Florida, but a different place. And then that was a whole thing. Business kind of did this stuff. It was just my second year being a 7-figure earner, and that was really scary, and wasn't trusting myself. And I'm new to all this. Same thing with when I started fitness and started motherhood. Like, we're just new to all this. And the first time you're new, it's scary. You don't know what to do, all this shit. Hindsight's 20. You don't have the codes for it. And this is why, though, people stay mediocre. This is why people look at other people that are successful and go, wow, I wish I could do that, and they don't. It's not hard, it's painful. And that's why I love working with women who are courageous. They're willing to sit with some pain because they know what's on the other side of it. And I'm fucking pretty brave. I'm a pussy. Listen, I'm a pussy. I'm scared of a lot of shit, and I have a lot of fear. I'm scared of a lot of stuff. But when I want something, it's like, all right, let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's do it now. That's why I had kids back to back. I'm like, fuck waiting 2-3 years so everything cools down. Like, now. I want it. Just get it over. And there's pros and cons to all that. But then we moved, and then that house burned in the middle of the night, almost died. Like, that was one of the most, I would say devastating, but it really wasn't devastating because I wasn't attached to this house. I wasn't attached to things that most people were attached to. But it was very traumatic. And then we moved across country to California, and that led into a whole another thing. And it was like, you see where I'm going here. It's almost like early adulthood. So look what happened in early adulthood. Just this happened, and then this happened. And because that happened, I did this. And because that happened, I chose this. And because the house burned, I chose to go to California because I've always wanted to be there and see and I will have a house there. We lived there for a year. I like it. I love it. And parts of California. But it showed me this jet set lifestyle that I choose to live, and that's been shown to me. Because this happened, I chose other things. But in all that, and I healed lifetimes of trauma, and I'm still doing the things, and feminine awakenings, and like beauty, exposure, and just like total paradigm shifts, and spiritual, and I can't explain to you the connectedness, like a bunch of good shit. But it was during a very painful time. And it just went like this. While I was healthier than I've ever been, my body, I used to have a commercial gym. I used to be the fitness girl. I used to prioritize strength training, and then I had to create Hot Moms because you can't just keep doing that. When you're going through certain seasons of life, you can't just continue to require something out of your body. You have to know how to still show up and still get results. And you got to know how to wrangle shit back in. And I just noticed my body, it just continued to atrophy, and it continued to look a certain way. And I was like, fucking shit. And I just kept showing up. And that's the thing. I just kept showing up, doing the workouts that I give you girls, in the app. I kept doing the hormones. I kept doing the things. No, I didn't track my food. I didn't do all that shit. And then something just happened that was like, you know what? You got to do this. It's time. Your kid just had a birthday. They're done. 9 years old, a kid's done. They're done developing their personality and who they're going to be. Their brain finally forms at 25. But at 9 years old, they're pretty much who they're going to be. So we're out of the weeds with that. And it's time. It's something has clicked. And you get to a point where you just had enough. You just fucking have had enough. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that you force the things. It's just like the timing is right. But what it really was that we go through parts of our life and we're like, all right, this is my childhood. Let me go clean up my childhood shit. This is from not getting enough love. This was being love unreceived, abandonment wounds, rejection wounds, betrayal, literal abuse recovery, all these things, codependencies, people pleasing. So you get to a point, everybody talks about childhood trauma. Let's heal your childhood trauma. Then they get to a point, your childhood kind of is also in there in your middle school years, your puberty age years. Let's work on that, and your rite of passage, and when you became a woman, and your period, and nobody got that. So we've done the work on that. And then we got our teen years, and our boyfriends who broke our heart, and our girlfriends who broke our heart, and sexual things, and coming out, and maybe your dad was religious, and you having to get through religious blocks, and figuring out what you were going to do, big shit. But nobody talks about early adulthood. Nobody talks about one of the hardest. It's all hard. It's all very challenging. Every decade comes with its own challenge. Medical school, I work with doctors. And doctors a lot of times struggle with alcohol because it's the only thing they can do. They can't do drugs. They can't numb out with weed and shit like that. And I don't think they understand. Very few woke doctors are out there. Medical school and nursing school is very traumatic. I've watched my friend go downhill in her residency. When she was in her residency at the end, she was done. She was so burnt out, so depressed. She didn't even know. It was sad. It's sad. And medical doctors, they don't understand this. They just have their eye on the prize and the accolade and the thing and making it through. Meanwhile, they don't know what it's done to their soul. They don't know what it's done to their body and their nervous system. And nobody talks about this stuff. It's, yay, you're a doctor. But what about the human? What about the soul? What about the spirit? What about that nervous system? Same thing with early adulthood. Y'all, you've been through it. We've been through it. Early adulthood was fucking gnarly, and it's time. And whatever you did in your early adulthood, 15, 20 years ago, that's what we're talking about, the timeline right now. Astrologically, it lines up as well. Right now is the ending of all that. So I encourage you, by listening to this, go spend some time with your early adult, like a 20s. In your 20s, late and early 20s, go spend some time with her. Because not until I was willing to spend some time with her and truly feel the grief where I had to allow all those life changes, babies, career, moving, love life. What I was saying, spend some time with this part of yourself, the early 20s, even late 20s, with the moves. Maybe your parents went through a divorce. Maybe everything was good, but it was still a change. College, thinking that you were going to do something, you didn't do it. Maybe you dropped out to pursue a passion. Boyfriends, abusive, horrible relationship, whatever. Spend some time with that, because in your late 30s, that midlife awakening, you're going to have to sit and look at these things, even in your early 30s, but really the 20s. We've done the childhood work through Hot Mama's Mastermind, and now it is the young adulthood. And that way we can integrate, we can become more whole. And all of this, I heard something the other day and it's perfect. It says, we don't heal trauma to handle more trauma. We heal trauma to handle fucking joy. I added in the fucking part, but we heal and integrate and do the work so that we can experience more joy and bliss. Period. End of story. So go sit with her, go do this work, and I'm going to be hosting masterclasses on this, doing some deeper work, exploration, journal prompts as a group with my Hot Moms Mastermind. So if you feel called to do this type of work so that you can have a healthy body and just be in control, not be so afraid, feeling like a stranger in your body, but knowing what to give your body, how to actually meet your own needs, getting better at boundaries, self-care, and clearing anything that has ever caused you to not be successful with getting healthy, sexy, and hot. But that's Hot Moms Mastermind. Go to caseyship.com/register for the masterclass. If you've already seen that, then go to caseyship.com/apply. Let's talk, and we will definitely help you out and give you some direction. Don't forget, subscribe. And if my podcast helps you at all, positive reviews. I can't tell you how important positive reviews are, even negative ones. I don't give a shit. People are going to always have something to say, I'm sure. But if you like my work, if it's helped you, leaving a review is like paying me. So thank you. And even, like I said, the negative ones, it doesn't matter. People usually look at negative comments and go to see what type of person it is, and you'll quickly realize they're probably not your people. So if you want to leave a positive review, thank you, and I will talk to you soon.